Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co., and this is News and Week in Review, where we're going to dive into a variety of news pieces, the games I played, the various videos of the week, all of that, and sadly, last week I missed this video. I missed my News and Week in Review for the first time in like 3 years since starting the series. There was one time, and it's always been when traveling, by the way, but there was one time, the first WSBG, if I recall correctly, because of the way it works is because of Saturday, I usually set my timers and all the things, I schedule my videos out in advance, and there was one time, WSBG, the first year, whatever it was, I guess 2022, does that make sense? 2022 WSBG, I didn't set my timer, my scheduled video correctly, and so my News and Week in Review, it did go live on Saturday, but it went live like 8 p.m. Saturday night instead of like, well, any other time, and so that happened once upon a time way back when. But it still went up. It still did go up. Versus last week, for the first time ever, it didn't go up. I was traveling again, and I shot some footage, but I didn't have enough to edit properly, and it was all getting too last minute, and I was like, you know what? Sometimes things just aren't going to happen, and it's a streak that doesn't actually matter that it was broken, but it bothers me because it was a streak. Anyways, that was last week, so we didn't have a Week in Review last week, which means we're back today with our regularly scheduled Week in Review that will definitely totally happen. I think part of my fear of not doing videos when I'm supposed to do videos is not the fact that I didn't do a video, whatever, I do a lot of videos, it's fine if I miss one. Rather, it's the fact that it kind of sets a precedent in my head that the first time you miss one, the next time's not the worst, and the time after that's not the worst, and that's not necessarily the worst to have that, but I guess, I don't know, I want to be consistent. I like consistency. Consistency is good. It's good for habits, it's good for development, it's good for myself, all these various things. Anyways, the news and Week in Review. Let's go ahead and start off with the news. We have a bunch of news pieces this week. We have Little Alchemists from CGE. Little Alchemists is going to be a slightly more kid-friendly, and this page doesn't really have a lot as far as graphics or pictures. I guess we have this over here. We have over here the box image for Little Alchemist based on the Alchemist system. It's going to be a slightly more kid-friendly version of Alchemist, a very popular game. I think it's still in the BG Top 100. I know it was at one point. I don't know if it still is right now, but very popular game. Going to have a kids version coming from CGE coming out to you. You also have over here, we have, this is the wrong title. There we go. Let's close that link down. We have over here, we have CMON. CMON's profits soared 28% last year to more than 23 million, thanks to a huge drop in cost. And as usual, what I like to say doing these videos is, specifically CMON. CMON's like one of those very controversial publishers that manage to upset people no matter what they do. But CMON's interesting because you have two camps of people. You have the camp of people, and I don't know, I think sometimes they're the same camp, I just can't always tell. You have the camp of people who are like, they're making too much money and they're trying to steal from you and they're basically taking advantage of backers. That's camp one. And camp two is they're going bankrupt and they're using their campaigns to fund each other and they are a huge problem. It's going to fall apart. Okay, those are the two different camps. One camp thinks that they are taking every cent from you and they're corporate overlords, and the other camp thinks that they are losing money hand over foot and are going to fail. And again, I think there's overlap. I think there's a Venn diagram. I think there are some people who think that and some people who think that, and there's a Venn diagram of people who like to accuse them of both. The people who like to accuse them of both, I find, are the most interesting. Like, I remember when they had, a few years ago, they had some sort of a, because they're a publicly traded company, they had like a huge loss one year. And it's sometimes because of the way their games are, the way that when they take money versus when they deliver, they had a huge operating loss, but they were still totally fine, supposedly. But when they had that loss, a lot of people were like, yay, CMON's downfall. And I'm like, you've been accusing them of stealing your money all the time and just, constantly taking your money and being corporate overlords. And now you're saying that you're happy that they're not actually profitable. And I think the same thing's likely going to happen now. You're going to have a lot of people who are like, oh my gosh, look at them. Their profits soared 28%. Look at them taking all our money. It's because they charge more for shipping on Marvel Zombies. And they're going to forget that 2 minutes ago they were complaining that they have 7 active campaigns and they're not going to deliver them. If you don't like CMON, you don't like CMON. That is what it is. I've had complaints about them in the past, I certainly have, but overall, I'm a huge fan of their games, I'm a fan of the company, and I'm happy that they're doing well because I have like 5 outstanding campaigns that I would like to get from them. So to me, this is just good news. I don't mind if you're a corporate overlord. You told me a price, I paid the price, I just want the thing that I got. That's what makes me happy. Board games shouldn't make you happy. There are other things that make me happy. Coffee is what makes me happy. Anyways, moving on from there, we have Hasbro Gaming. Wizard of the Coast president Cynthia Williams resigns after 2 years in the role. This is just, Hasbro's been in a weird place between Wizard of the Coast, D&D, all the things. I feel like they're as successful as they are missing their steps all the time, and so I don't know. To me, it's not necessarily a surprise. Frankly, I don't know who Cynthia Williams is. I'm not as involved in, well, who works for which company, but it's not a surprise to me that the head of whatever decision is no longer present, given how much speculation there is about how well Hasbro is doing. I know their share prices were down pretty heavily. It does not mean they're not profitable. It just means they're not as profitable as they should be, and we'll see what happens next with Hasbro. Speaking of Hasbro, we have D&D over here. D&D makers also want Baldur's Gate 4, but say they won't rush to make a sequel. Basically, Larian Studios, in case you missed it, Larian Studios gave the rights to Baldur's Gate or whatnot back to Hasbro, back to D&D, and they said they're not really going to be making another Baldur's Gate 4, and it's an incredibly popular game, but they're kind of done with it, and they're going to move on to other things. And at this point, it seems like they're going to try to make a Baldur's Gate 4, but don't expect anything anytime soon, which makes sense considering how popular the first one was. We have over here Board Games of Fafnir, a dragon board game. This is coming to you from Lucky Duck Games, basically an upcoming crowdfunding campaign with a giant dragon. Don't know much about the game past that, but it's from Lucky Duck. I generally like Lucky Duck, so I'm intrigued as to what this game will be. We have over here, we have Knights of the Round Table, designed by Johnny Pat Canton, put out by Crafty Games, who did, they did Boo. No, not Boo. Something else. They have Crafty Games has a few games. They have the where is it? Boo. It is Boo. It is Boo. Boo and Tabriz. Tabriz is the other one. See, I said Boo and I was like, that's only half of Brian Boo, but it actually is the name of the game. But anyway, Knights of the Round Table coming to you from them. Each game Knights of the Round Table, players choose a cycle of Arthurian myth to play, setting the tone and starting rules. They rally the company knights, Arthurian personalities, deploying to construct Camelot, repel invader hordes, all these various fun things. It does not look like it's a cooperative game, seemingly. Let me see if the mechanism over here is a cooperative. It does not seem like it's a cooperative game unless they're missing something, but the art looks good, and I like Johnny Pat Canton, so we'll see what happens there. Then we have over here, we have Rolling in Wonderland, coming to you from Borograve Games, from Daniel Alves. This over here, I don't know a ton about the game. The art over here looks good, at least so far, but we have, can I see the other pictures we have? Here's another picture over here from the game, components and whatnot. So overall, looks intriguing, but I don't know enough about it yet. And then from there, we also have a few things in mass market board game news. We have Monopoly, a movie. You have Monopoly movie in the works from Margot, Robbie, and Lionsgate. So this continuing off the success of Barbie in general, I guess. We have Margot Robbie is heading a rich train of Monopoly. I'm not sure if she's going to be, I assume she'll be in the film. It seems like it would be a waste not to, but it seems like she's directing it, I think. Her production company, Lucky Chap, and her partner is Tom Ackley. Live action feature film based in the ubiquitous real estate. Again, this is like, I don't even know. I don't know what's going to actually happen in this one. I don't know at all, but I feel like this is... We'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see. I was more optimistic about Barbie. Barbie is actually pretty fun. Then in more mass market news over here, we have this one, which is, let's go ahead and try to refresh this page, I guess, because it's not locking in. This is basically an article. I don't think I'm going to be able to show you this one. This is Kristen Wiig does not want to be Jumanji'd. I'm sorry, I've reached my monthly article limit on Vulture, so I can't show you this one. But basically, this is... There we go. There we go. Kristen Wiig does not want to be Jumanji'd. On this week's Saturday Night Live, Kristen Wiig played a woman meeting her boyfriend's friends for the first time. You've probably seen this already because everyone was sharing this in the board game groups. But basically on SNL, they had a little skit about Jumanji featuring Ticket to Ride. So if you want to check that out, I thought it was a fun skit. It was... I thought it was immensely entertaining. Just the level they scream back and forth at each other. Like, you can't even be Jumanji. Does Jumanji go into the game? Does it come out of the game? Because Jumanji is when the game comes out at you, and you're saying you don't want to be Jumanji as if Jumanji goes into the game. That can't even be Jumanji. Have you ever even watched Jumanji? Do you know what Jumanji is? It was immensely entertaining. I liked it a lot. And then lastly, in mass market news, we also have over here, we have Scrabble. Scrabble is going to get a co-op version. Co-op Scrabble, more accessible version for players intimidated by the classic game. I haven't looked into this game much, but I will say if you are interested in a cooperative Scrabble, may I recommend Illiterati. Illiterati, I think, is a great game that is going to give you that cooperative Scrabble feel, and it's already a well-vetted game. Granted, without the name recognition for Scrabble, for those who want that mass market presence in every Target, Barnes & Nobles, and everything, but I do recommend Illiterati if you want that. And that's what we have for the various news parts of things, which means we get into the... Let me pause this over here. Not stopping, there we go. Which means we get now into the rest of the week in review, starting off with the games I played. And I played a few things this past week. First of all, I played a lot of things, I generally do, but I usually pick a few of games to focus on for this. We played Pagan Fate of Roanoke. I had a chance to play that against somebody who knows the game, which part of the problem, I got rid of Pagan because I found that I would teach to people and then often just win. I don't want to sound egotistical there. I just think it's a game that takes a little bit to get a feel for it, and I found that it was hard to... I found I was winning a lot and teaching a lot, and people, you kind of a slow ramp to getting the feel for how to play that game. I think Pagan is an excellent game. I highly recommend it, but for me, it was like one of those games that wasn't going to get tabled as frequently, and so I did sadly get rid of it. But I had a chance to play it against somebody who knows the game, has played the game, and had a great time, a tough back and forth. I really enjoyed it. I still think Pagan Fate of Roanoke is a great game. It's one of those slow burns that is going to continue to take off, but Pagan, check it out if you have a chance. I also played Terraforming Mars. First time playing Terraforming Mars physically in probably at least 6 months, if I had to guess, and I like Terraforming Mars. I still like Terraforming Mars. It's always a good game. In particular, this game was phenomenal because this game, more so than some others, I think it was interesting because it was a 3-player game, and at no point was it clear who was winning. One person was clearly ahead on the Terraform rating. They were like so far ahead, it was ridiculous. They had the furthest Terraform rating. The other person, me, had the most points on cards, and it was pretty clear that I had the card engine going on, lots of things I was putting onto my cards, and the third person had the most points on the board. Their table presence was, they had 80% of the table presence, like, compared to the other two players. It was like the other two players combined had the least table presence, and they had 80% of the table presence, a ton of just trees and cities and all those things all across the board. And so it's interesting trying to figure out who's going to actually win, who is ahead on this game, because, well, frankly, it wasn't really clear. And so ultimately it was a tense back and forth. It did end with everyone being within a few points of each other, but I just really appreciated the back and forth of how hard it was to actually get a feel for which strategy was winning. Then I also had a chance to play Biome. Biome is one that I don't know if I'll be doing coverage in this game. I don't know yet. But Biome, I had a chance to play this one when at Adam 2024, so technically it's from a week and a half ago. But I thought Biome had good bones on it. It felt like a game that's trying to do what Earth is doing. There's many elements of the game that I felt were a little too mass market in its approach. That, I mean, there's a lot of AI artwork going on, and while I have my own opinion of AI art, if it looks like AI art, I already am against it offhand, and it definitely looked like AI art. I don't know if they're making changes to that. It is a prototype, but there are also elements such as, like, you know, the track in general, like, felt very roll and move. It's not really roll and move, but it's the point. I don't know. Many elements of the game did not feel like they instilled confidence. I do think there's a good game there, but not one that I was in love with, a game that I appreciated elements of it, and I don't know if I'll be playing it again. We'll see. Anyways, that is what we have over there for the games I played, which means now it's time to dive into the week in review, starting off with Saturday. Saturday, I did a review for Gutenberg. It's been sitting around in my review pile for a while. I've had a lot of older videos slowly popping up just because I've been traveling a lot, so trying to get those to fill the gaps when I'm not around. But Gutenberg, I think Gutenberg is a fine game. I enjoyed it. I gave it a 3 out of 5, but I don't need to play it again. It's not one that really landed for me. I appreciated it, and I moved on from it. Later on Saturday, I had a review for Robot Quest Arena. That's one that my son definitely enjoyed. I was okay with it. I've tried Robot Quest Arena a few times. I have heard from some people that the expansions make it better, and I believe that, but I haven't played with expansions. I don't think I was confident enough in the base game to really try to make the expansions work, or to try to see if it would, I don't know, take off if the expansions gave me a bit more room for it. Ultimately, I think Robot Quest Arena, a lot of people like it. I'm glad they enjoy it. I think the table presence is fantastic, and I think there are other deck builders I prefer more. On Sunday, we had 15 best hidden gems from 2022. This is part of a series of 2022 videos I've been doing slowly but surely, just putting out every few weeks a video on 2022 games. I have like 1 or 2 more, and then the video series will be done. But the 15 best hidden gems 2022, talking about games that I think just, you know, aren't as well known, aren't as popular. Anything from, I think 8 Minute Kingdom or 9 Minute Kingdom, whatever it was like the number 1 over there. But there are a bunch of games that are just games that I mean, it was DEI on the list. I don't remember if it was. I have to go check the video of what was on the list, but there's a lot of great games that come out, and some of them are really real popular, well-loved. Others are either not as well-loved, in which case I want to talk about it if I liked it more, or they're just not as popular, in which case I want to talk about it so that you know about these games. On Monday, we had top 10 games that hurt crowdfunding. It was a conversation around games that have had either deliveries or failures, and sometimes companies. Sometimes there's a game, sometimes there's a company, but talking about those and just talking about, like, I don't know, the impact they've had on the crowdfunding space. Had a lot of people in the comments talking about, yeah, that game kind of soured me on crowdfunding, and that game being whatever one they were talking about. But yeah, I was just going through some of the games. There were a lot of other comments talking about others that I missed, and there are a lot of games that I missed from Madeira, I think it was, from WhatsApp Games. There is, you know, Super Dungeon Explorer. There are definitely a lot of games that I did not cover in there. There's unfortunately more failures than I'd like to talk about. I don't mean like I want to cover them up. I just mean like this. I'm sad that there's enough failures to add to the list, but there are enough failures out there, unfortunately. On Tuesday I had a review for Core of Discovery. I gave it a 4 out of 5. I could see it growing, honestly. I could, but I'm not sure where it goes. To me, Core of Discovery has very similar feeling to Tiwanuku. I really enjoy Tiwanuku a lot. One of my favorite deduction games. Core of Discovery has some elements that are just as good, some elements that are better, some elements that are worse. I think it probably will grow with time, but for right now, it's a 4 out of 5 for me. Really enjoy that one. That'll be launching a Kickstarter soon. We have later on Tuesday a sponsored gameplay for Biohazard. You can check that out. Basically, not cooperative. It feels cooperative. It's really not cooperative at all. Basically, it's a game of trying to... Biohazard is a game of trying to make sure the disease spreads in a way that is not hurtful to you, is what it comes down to. And then lastly, on Tuesday, we had a review for Codenames. This is I'm slowly but surely trying to go through all the games in my top 100 to make sure every game in my top 100 has a full review on the channel, because frankly, I think they deserve a full review on the channel if they are a game in my top 100. And I gave Codenames that review, so you can check that out if you want to see my overall thoughts of Codenames, although the fact that it's my top 100 already tells you a little bit about that. On Wednesday we had a Best Games of Adam 2024. 2024. Again, that's a recent retreat I went to. I talked to every content creator, well, most content creators. Unfortunately, Derek Funkhauser and Lizzie Funkhauser unfortunately had left before I was able to talk to them about it. So I didn't really get their picks, unfortunately. I should have asked for it after and put it in the video. But basically going through a bunch of content creators, talking to them about their favorite game from Adam 2024. The highlight, easily, the one that was most picked, was Inventions from Eagle Griffin Games. On Thursday, I had a review for Leaf going up. Leaf, overall fun little game. I thought the element of Leaf was a little bit gimmicky, but I enjoyed the game without falling in love with it. Later on Thursday, we had our weekly live stream and whatnot, or mostly weekly, and now that I'm not traveling for a bit, it'll hopefully be weekly again. And then lastly on Thursday, we had a Six Siege unboxing. Again, this is Mythic Games. I understand that. The fact that the unboxing exists at all might upset some people, but hopefully I talk about it appropriately, and we'll see. But you can check that out if you want to see an unboxing of Six Siege from Mythic Games. On Friday, we had a month in review, just going over, well, the month in review for March of 2024. And then lastly on Friday, we also had 7 games to check out if you like Zombicide. Basically one of these, I've been doing this video series where I talk about, different games. If you like X, check out these other games. And so 7 games if you like Zombicide, worth taking a look at that and seeing if it's a game for seeing which ones resonate with you. And that brings us to today. Today we have a few things. We're going to have a roundup review of Dr. Finn's games, a bunch of his games, just in a general coverage over there. Again, an older video popping up now. We have a paid Conan, The Adventures of Conan preview going up on the channel as well. And the next week we have a bunch of videos. We'll have I'm going to have my own little rant on Spectrum, so you can check out that if you want to see that. It's nothing to do with board games at all. It's just I had a bad experience with Spectrum and I want to talk about it, so you can check out that little rant on Spectrum Internet, and hopefully don't use them because it was bad. And then also I'll have a video on 10 IP board games that I love. I recently did a video on IP board games that I think the original IP, where I think a game being its own IP as opposed to mimicking an IP, I think that's better. But I'll be talking about 10 times where board games based on IPs were absolutely games I fell in love with. And that's basically it as far as the games on the table. As usual, these are games I hope to be diving into this week. We have Lost Winds of Arnak, which I finally am planning to continue playing through. I never really finished playing through the newest mode, the newest game for it. What's it called? The Missing Expedition. I never really finished playing through that. I hope to be doing that this week, or at least starting that process, because I never even reviewed it. I probably should review it too. We'll get to that at some point. I also plan on playing through some Ancient Knowledge. I've been playing a little bit of this on BGA, and I want to table this one as well. I have a lot of fun with it. I want to play Fit to Print solo, because I think that will determine for me whether this stays or leaves my collection, but I want to give the solo game a chance first, and we'll see. And then Tricarion. I had a chance to play Tricarion as well. I'm not talking about it yet, because I want to play it more before I do a review on it, but I hope to be playing it more so that I can talk about it. In any case, and until next time, I'm Alex Radical from Board Game Co. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, I hope you have a good one.